kind
technical
of
difficulties.
Yeah, we'll say technical difficulties, although it's yeah. Anyway, where we left off was we wanted to get Casey's picks out there, so we got his picks done. But we're back to the Cardinals-Dolphins game. We're starting with that one, and of course, Zach, I want your opinion first on this one. So, what do you have for us?
Yeah, this is my upset game of the week too because I have zero confidence in the Dolphins. The Dolphins have historically struggled against mobile quarterbacks, and we probably have one of the faster ones coming up against us. I don't care that the game is in Miami. They play in Arizona, so weather is not a factor. They're not good right now, and I don't know what the steps are to getting better.
Well, if it makes you feel better, it might make you feel worse. This is also my upset pick of the week. I did it from the betting show as well, so that just kind of carries over. But I need to see what this Dolphins team looks like, and I think the Cardinals are a good enough team, despite having some stuff they're dealing with themselves, to get this done if the Dolphins are not firing on all cylinders. What do you think, Dalton?
Yeah, this is not my official upset, but I am picking the Cardinals this week. I'm surprised it's honestly a 4.5-point spread.
I am amazed that it is a 4-point spread.
I think they're really giving a lot of credit to Tua getting back, which I get because of how bad they've been without him. But
the Cardinals, I think it's a lot of Cardinals disrespect.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
I think
the Cardinals
so.
continue to be a disrespected team. I don't know what it's going to take for them to be looked at in a bit more serious light. Because they're not bad.
Yeah,
I think this is the week that kind of does it.
Could be it. Ravens at Browns. Browns finally got rid of the Batman.
So we didn't get to talk about this at all earlier. And it's insane that like you hit the 6-game mark and the NFL gods are like, all right, Deshaun Watson, you're not allowed to play another one. It's not allowed.
He was strucketh down, we'll say.
I will be looking forward to the Ravens winning and seeing what insane quotes and facial expressions are going to come from Jameis Winston.
Yes, I do love that as well.
Which, say what you want about the man, but like the man is an orator. Like you are on the edge of your seat every moment he speaks. You're like, I don't know what's going to come out of your mouth next and what you're going to look like when you say it.
Yeah, this is actually my upset pick this week.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I know that
gambling show.
Yeah, the betting show.
Yeah. This is part of it is I think Jameis is going to actually unlock this offense a little bit because that's just how bad Deshaun Watson's been. I think just having someone that will just really, instead of just holding the ball and just trying to figure out what's going on, we have someone that's going to see a shot and take it. And I think that's going to add a whole new element to the offense. Nick Chubb had his first game back last week. I think that adds a lot. And I think the play calling change could really throw a wrench in it. I think that it's going to be a hard team to scout for because this is a brand new offense, really, which I think does change a lot. Home game. And also, like, Cleveland's a weird home field advantage just because of that lake effect. Like, that makes games weird. Like, it really does for whatever reason. Like, especially if it's a close game and kicking's a problem. Like, it can really change games. And, yeah, I think it's a weird divisional game that I think Cleveland finds a way to win. And because I do think Baltimore's due for, like, one of their weird stumble games.
I do agree with all that as being a possibility. I will just say I think the Ravens currently as constructed, unless they allow it to be a very close game going in the fourth quarter, like they've given up.
Unless they do whatever they did with Derrick Henry last week.
Right, which that they will do that. I just think this Browns team is really downtrodden, even with the positive news of Deshaun Watson no longer starting games for them. I just don't like the vibe still of the organization currently. I think that they just aren't really – they don't have their hearts in it. I think the Ravens can take care of business even at Cleveland this year. I think this is the year they can sweep them for sure. But we'll see how that goes out or plays out, I should say. Colts at Texans. Anthony Richardson, man.
Not good.
The passing game just is non-NFL.
This is why your rookie quarterback doesn't need to start right away.
Well, he's not a rookie anymore, Zach, although
I don't know how long he could sit for it to matter. Like, he just he just doesn't get what playing in the NFL is.
I think it's more importantly that he just there's a level of inaccurate you can be.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter if you see the field, it doesn't matter if you know what you're doing, it doesn't matter if the receivers are open. If you just simply aren't an accurate quarterback, there's a lot of things that you just simply aren't going to do well at the NFL level. Right.
If you can't nickel and dime teams when they give it to you.
Yeah, you just aren't going to have a lot of success.
Yeah.
Like it, and
that's what's so disappointing about losing that game last week.
I know, yeah. Like for example, like can he get better at that over time? Of course, we've seen quarterbacks get much better at that over time, especially in recent
years.
This
is 5 to 10 yard outs.
That's my point. Is how much better can he get?
Yeah.
And is it going to be within a time frame that allows him to continue to play for the Colts? Yeah, I simply don't know.
Yeah,
we just don't know.
There's literally high school quarterbacks out there that can hit those routine throws at a more consistent rate. I mean, it really is to that point. Like when you just can't complete the gimmies at a consistent rate, like it's hard to be successful.
Yeah, it's really tough. So I think for the Colts, like I just don't know how high of a ceiling they have week to week. Like, because if they hit those shots, they can stay in games. But teams are going to continue to try to do everything they can to keep those shots from being possible. And until Richardson proves to us and to himself and to honestly his opponents, they're going to let him have open receivers and hope he just doesn't hit them. And he probably won't in most cases. Like that's just kind of the reality. So I'm taking the Colts, or not the Colts. Yeah, I'm taking the Colts. I'm taking the Texans. At home, obviously, disappointing loss last week. Thought they could come out with that one, but it's just kind of a weird game. I think they get back on track against the Colts team that just, frankly, doesn't have a lot going for it offensively right now. So, any differing opinion there?
No.
Okay. Let's move on to Saints at Chargers. Could be a very ugly game with the way the Chargers play offense and the way the Saints exist as a franchise. Kamara is hurt, correct? Alvin is, I believe, out of this game. Is that the case?
I don't know.
I thought he was banged up. Is that not the case? Maybe I missed that.
Let me look. No, he has no.
I thought he was banged up, is what I heard, but maybe that's.
No, they actually also get Olave back this week as well.
Interesting. Okay. Carr is still out. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So,
probably.
Yeah, I think. I'm going to give it to the Chargers at home. I think their defense has been playing well enough, and they're facing a rookie quarterback that has not really had a lot of chance to get going. Having Olave back is going to be huge, I think, just for the offense's chance to succeed in the passing game. But I will take the Chargers to be able to get this one, kind of just take it probably closer than it should be, but I do think they can do it.
Yeah, I think this game it's a weird – it shouldn't be a toss-up, but I think it will come down to, the very end.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna pick the Chargers just because they should win this. But this is a game where I would not be surprised at all if the Saints won on the betting show. I took the over on this game because I do think it's just gonna be a weird 20-something to 20-something game. Yeah,
I get that. What do you think, Zach?
I'll go with Casey and take New Orleans. Why not?
There you go. Hey, why not? That's fair.
I mean,
it's a weird game. They've
got Olave back. I think that'll be massive for Rattler. I mean, he hasn't been awful.
It's just been the pocket management.
Bub Means and Marcus Tipton to throw to. Like, give him a wide receiver one. Alvin Kamara is good. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. No, this has been perfect for him. I think as a development goes to sit at the beginning of the year. Get a few games in, and then I don't think it's going to be bad for his development for him to then go and sit for a little bit and watch again a little bit. And then next year, maybe you think about giving him a real shot at the job.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
I think it's very clear that, I mean, again, what about Alvin Kamara? If he wants to stay a Saint forever, he can stay a Saint forever. They're going to do that. But I think this season is showing the Saints front office and brass that it might be time to throw in the towel and get serious about fixing the books and getting everything back under control.
No,
Will they?
Derek Carr's not making them a contender.
No.
I mean, the problem with it's entirely a cultural thing. It's just how important the game of football is to that area. It's just like, I mean, it's crazy to bring it up, but it goes back to the response for Katrina and how much it means for the city. I mean, it's football is different in New Orleans. It just means something different to the entire city as a whole. And I mean, you can say that for a lot of places, but when it's literally like, oh no, the people who were left and were stranded because of this storm stayed in the Superdome, like it just means something different to the city. So
No, I get that, but also like if you're a smart fan, wouldn't you want them to just try to stop being weird about it? So I think they need to wake up and realize that. Yeah. Will they? Absolutely not. They will be going for it again next year.
Just as long as they can possibly beat the Falcons every year, that's all they care about.
Yeah, so there you go. Bills at Seahawks. I think this one's interesting because I think the Seahawks are capable of winning this game at home, but I do think that the Bills simply are just better than them at the end of the day. And I think they're more consistent than them, even though the Bills have had some inconsistent moments themselves. I just don't know if the Seahawks are a team that matches up well with the Bills. So I'm going with the Bills. I'm not sure. You guys feel the same? No, you said you feel the same. Yeah.
There's no way that the Seahawks defense can keep this game close.
I don't even think it's the Seahawks defense. I think there's no way that the Seahawks offensive line can hold back the pass rush. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of Russo and Epinesa and Oliver, like their names are just constantly being talked about like week in and week out. And we're talking about 40% pass rush rate. Jeez.
Yeah, like that was against the Falcons.
Exactly. And the Falcons historically suck at rushing the passer. Like,
yeah, especially in the last couple of years. So it just, it doesn't feel good for the Seahawks in this game. I think that there's definitely plenty of teams that they can get away with their style of play against. I just don't think the Bills are one of them. Ultimately.
No. And especially, and I think it's like those physical teams. Those physical teams are going to struggle against.
Yeah. Bears at Commanders. So again, this one less interesting of a matchup than we'd like it to be with Daniels out and Mariota in. Although again, like you said,
was there ever like an actual announcement of what his injury was?
Ribs, yeah.
Ribs just bruised.
Probably bruised or maybe even slightly fractured. Yeah, whatever.
But
that's not
hey, as somebody who has broken their own chest with their knee, let me tell you. Yes, I have kneed myself in the chest and broken my ribs.
That sucks.
Yes. I don't know how, but we'll leave that for another day. But it's painful as hell. I could not sleep on my side. So yeah, I can't imagine throwing a football. But Mariota was surprisingly dealing. So I definitely was concerned, and I think the biggest takeaway from that game was while he had a few catches, he was doing it without just like mainlining the ball to Terry McLaurin. So I don't know. I think Washington might be a little underestimated than they actually are at this. I mean, you're not asking him to start you a bunch of games. The prime setup that you have your backup quarterback in. We need you to pop in for a couple games, do what you can. You got us the win when you came in. He'll be back. Don't worry. This is the exact scenario you want for your backup quarterback.
I agree, but I have my thoughts on it. But so are you picking the Commanders then, Zach, or are you picking the Bears?
Why not? I'll pick the Commanders. Let's do it.
Okay. What do you got, Dalton?
So my feeling is like, it's not as much about Marcus Mariota as about Caleb Williams. I think with the way he's developing right now, I think this is the perfect game against the Washington defense that is still a little suspect in the secondary, to say the least. And I think
we saw what DJ Moore did to this team last year.
Yeah.
So just saying.
Yeah, I think this is a game that I think Caleb Williams really has his coming out party. And I think this is where we see why he was the number one overall pick. And I like the Bears in what could be a high scoring game. Maybe less so because I don't know if Mariota is going to be able to keep up.
Yeah, I think the difference here is the Bears defense is good enough. Yeah, to even if Daniels was in this game, I would not give this game automatically to the Commanders. I would not. I think Mariota being in there, it does limit things a little bit because he is, of course, the backup quarterback for a reason. And more importantly, I think the Commanders' offensive line has not been as bad as we worried it would be, but I think Daniels has really mitigated a lot of that with his pocket movement and his ability to escape. Mariota is a good athlete, of course, still, but not maybe the athlete he was when he came into the league a decade ago. But he's still a good athlete, but he doesn't have the same pocket presence that Daniels was showing as a rookie. Not at all. No. That's where I worry that I think a Bears defense can capitalize on that and help keep kind of him boxed in and not be able to make plays outside of the pocket where he could potentially make an impact. So I will give this game to the Bears, and I think that they do so not comfortably, but kind of close to comfortably, perhaps. So Panthers at Broncos.
Denver.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I simply just don't know what the hell we're about to witness, because this is about to be maybe one of the ugliest quarterback matchups in a long time, because Bo Nix, although he's been able to manage the game a little bit, that Saints game, I watched every snap of that Saints game. The fact that Bo Nix won that game as comfortably as he did as the starting quarterback for that team is a testament to just how bad the Saints offense was and how good the Broncos defense is, because that was a bad quarterback game by him, and they still won comfortably. So I think they could do the same thing against the Panthers, but I don't know if it guarantees that this is like a good Bo Nix week. Honestly, I just don't know.
Yeah. I don't think it'll matter. This is the Javonte Williams, bro.
For sure. And yeah, the Panthers are simply bad with anybody quarterback, but you put a guy who quite literally has looked never like a NFL quarterback at any point in the season, except for maybe against the freaking Packers last year because they employed, what's his name? I don't even remember anymore, the defense coordinator.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's the only game he's looked like an NFL quarterback in, and that's not really, doesn't count in my opinion. So we're all good with the Broncos here. Obviously, yes. Okay, yeah. I almost picked this as the blowout, but I was like, they might win like 10-0 somehow.
Yeah, but then you have to have confidence in the opposing offense scoring points,
which maybe. Chiefs at Raiders. Dalton, what do you think about this?
So, to be clear, not picking the Raiders,
right?
But this is a game that the Raiders would win.
Yes.
Or I'll say this: this is probably the game that they play the Chiefs really close, take them to a last-minute score or even overtime, just to get everyone's hopes up immediately to have them dash the following week.
Right. Yeah.
But that's what it is. I mean, this is that game. Plus, Raiders defense has, for whatever reason, had Mahomes' number lately. But no, I think the Chiefs should win this pretty handily. The way the Raiders have folded when down this year.
Antonio Pierce, the one that said in the offseason, we're going to treat Mahomes like he's Jordan, just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. Problem is they don't have the problem is half their front four is out.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Because no Christian Wilkins and no Malcolm Kuntz.
Ooh.
Not a great recipe for success.
I think Kyrie Wilson might be out as well. I forget.
I didn't see an injury designation on him when I was looking at the roster earlier.
Yeah.
As far as I know, though,
he was a little banged up earlier, but I think he's good.
Is he also still terrible?
He's just,
or is he
doesn't
better?
Fit. He's too robotic to be a great edge.
Yeah.
And he's not big enough to be a D tackle.
He's a tweener for sure.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of a tweener. Fair enough. Yeah. Chiefs win probably handedly. Hopkins probably gets 2 touchdowns for free because why not?
All right, let's not go crazy. I'm
thinking 3 catches, 12 yards, and 2 of them are touchdowns.
I can definitely see him getting in the end zone. And I think he could have a decent amount of yards, but I would say maybe 5 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown. And that would be generous.
Caleb Von Jason ejection. Calling it right now for some just bullshit, blatantly late hit on Mahomes.
Yeah,
it's coming this week.
That'd be pretty.
It's a shame that I don't have Casey in here to talk about that because I did want to talk about that last week a little bit.
The not hit out of bounds.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Me personally, had Patrick Mahomes been blasted there on the sideline, you can't throw a flag on that because he's in bounds.
Technically they couldn't, but if
you throw a flag on any of that with a player inbounds, and that's I understand the concern from some teams and some players for getting a penalty. Mm-hmm. As we pointed out in the group chat, you got the yards anyways that the penalty would have already given him. So at that point, you might as well rock his socks off to like, cool, you gave him 15 yards, but you know what it's gonna make it cross over in his mind and Mahomes' mind, like, oh man, remember that time I got rocked when I tiptoed the sideline? Maybe I shouldn't do that again. So like, I understand. And it goes back to the officiating. Like, do we really trust the refs to get this stuff right? But the man was in bounds. Like, I would not have complained if I saw somebody just with all of their might send him into the first row of the stands. Like, I would have been like, that's football, baby. Like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, but we know that. And also, Mahomes has that magic about him where he's exactly as fast as he needs to be to evade the defender closest to him for whatever reason.
What I will give Mahomes is at least when he hits, he falls to the ground regularly, as opposed to Josh Allen's like amazing acting of flopping. Like it's hysterical. I saw a video of that recently. Yeah, you could say that Mahomes complains about like the calls after the facts, but the man hits the ground regularly. Like he will not embellish it as much.
No, he's just like, what the heck, man?
Yeah, he'll just bitch about it afterwards.
Yeah. Let's move to Cowboys at Niners. I'll tell you what my pick is going to be, only because I think it'd be really funny. I think that the Cowboys finally, despite having a terrible team, get their one win against the Niners they haven't gotten, simply because I think that'd be really funny. Yeah. Do I have any logical reason for that? No. Do I have any real football reason for that? No. But I do think it'd be really funny for the Niners to go to 3-5 and for the Cowboys to beat them finally. And it would take their team still not being good, but also the Niners being beat the hell. Like, that just makes me laugh. So that's more of a true like gut pick. It has nothing to do with football. So if you guys take the Niners, by all means, go for it.
No, I'm in lockstep with you there.
Yeah,
simply because of the vibes.
The vibes are not good.
It's just, this is the game the Cowboys win.
The anti-vibes game. Yeah, the anti-vibes game.
No, I can't. I can't do it.
I don't blame you, Zach. It doesn't make sense, but that's why I'm doing it.
Because, God, if Dallas wins this game, God bless the boys at the Fan, because it's going to be a rough week for them. Jerry's probably going to call in like, yo, you see that game? You see that game?
Yeah. Also, you fired anyway.
Exactly.
Crazy. Yeah, I think that, yeah, I don't really have any analysis for this game. I just think everybody loses. Like Casey said, America loses for this game being Sunday Night Football.
Somebody has to play. So
right. Speaking of primetime football,
and everybody losing,
Giants at Steelers.
I don't understand what did the NFL think was happening in New York that they were like, yes, this game.
Considering this was a before the season.
I understand the mid-Atlantic East Coast bias of that the NFC East is just so popular with such a big fan base, but I'm sorry, I don't want to see the Giants on national TV this much. Stop it.
I almost went to this game, by the way. I almost got to this game.
I mean, I would get
just because I was like,
if I was a Pittsburgh fan, I would get tickets to this game. It's probably like the one game where I'm like, it doesn't matter who's at quarterback. I feel like we have a good chance of winning.
Yeah. But
even as a Dolphins fan, if this was the game, I'd be like, you know what? It's the Giants. We might suck, but we have a chance.
Yeah, it's not good. It's bad stuff. I will say, unironically, I think the Steelers are going to have trouble putting the Giants away. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I really do.
So I want to hear your honest take on what happened last week, because like,
oh yeah, do you want to? Well, you could. Okay, so there's two ways you could get my honest take. You could watch the Still Curtain show from Wednesday if you want my in-depth response to it. My actual like on a fun podcast responses, I think the offense was much better because they were aggressive and tried to score points, opposed to with Fields. They refused to try to do that. They pretty much were like, hey, let's see if we can get a field goal on this drive. Like, that was the plan. It felt like every drive, right? Whereas with Wilson, they were willing to take chances down the field. He was more willing to do so. He didn't fear for his job the way that I think Fields probably did at times. And I think the aggressiveness paid off. I do think if they play the same game 10 times, they score under 20 points in 5 of them. I just think that Wilson by himself was not a great quarterback in that game. The offense, though, was phenomenal because everybody made insane plays. Najee Harris looks like freaking Franco Harris all of a sudden.
And now you find yourself in a Max Crosby Las Vegas Raiders situation with George Pickens, where he's going to just be no, I want Wilson. Give me Wilson.
And I think the offense will be better than it's been simply because they are more willing to try to score points. Now, you might ask yourself, Shane, why does an NFL team not want to score points with someone at quarterback? I don't have the answer to that.
I think one of the things that you said was very key is that, the only thing, there can be no negatives for Russell Wilson. We already saw as bad as Russell Wilson can be. Justin Fields is still trying to salvage his future in the NFL.
And I think he did a good job of it.
And he did. He played good, protected football.
He played the most the most winning football he's played.
He showed Pittsburgh that, look, if you're going to lose a game, it's not going to be because of me. It's not going to be because I made mistakes. I took care of the football. I was able to drive. We got points. I agree with what you're saying, though. Russell Wilson has zero reason to not take the shots because his reputation is already in the tank after last season. Like, how much lower can Russell Wilson really go? Justin Fields can still go lower. There's still a salvage aspect behind Justin Fields. Like, they're like, let's get him in a place that makes that will actually work with him.
Yeah. And I think too, Zach, like, they just trust Wilson more because he's a veteran. Tomlin has proven time and time again that they trust veterans, even bad veterans, over good rookies or young players. It's something they've done consistently. Look how long it took Joey Porter to get on the field consistently last year. They still don't play Keanu Benton as much as Larry Ogunjobi, for example. Like, that's just what they do, right? So I'm not surprised that the switch was made, but I don't ultimately think it really changes much for the course of the season, other than you get a little bit more aggressive play on offense, which some weeks will be awesome, and other weeks will be like, hey, Russ, stop throwing moon balls to nobody. Can you stop doing that? That'd be awesome. But we'll see. But my pick, though, I will still pick the Steelers to win, but I think it's going to be something more like 20-16 or 20-13 and not this like explosive offense that we saw last week.
20-13 would still cover.
It would cover, but ugly cover, though. What do you guys got?
I agree. I think Pittsburgh wins this game. I don't think that having or not having Malik Neighbors, as I thought, is really a boon for the Giants. They just suck.
Daniel Demise.
Yeah, Danny Dimes is not long for this league as a starter. Yeah, I don't know what you do at this point. You just hope for the best in New York and pray that everybody just doesn't give up on you and you can make it to next season with not a poison locker room. And Pittsburgh, I mean, you just try to just stack as many wins as possible.
I do think it's disgusting, real quick, before I let Dalton finish this off, that this team could honestly be 8-0 potentially after this game. Like, they could have been. Like, that was something that was in the cards potentially, and I think that's really funny. That's all I have to say about that.
I mean, say what you want about Tomlin, but I mean, he is a good coach. He's going to get the most of it. He's going to get the most out of his players, and he knows how to coach a winning team. It's just what happens after you guys get to the postseason. That's been the issue.
Right now, not much.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead, Dalton.
Yeah, this is just what happens when you have a good, stable organization that doesn't keep trying to do completely new things every 3 years. And
sounds like you might be talking from experience, Dalton. Is that the case?
It's almost as if having a brand new GM, head coach, and roster every 3 to 5 years is not a good thing. But yeah, that's what I think it really is. The Steelers, they're consistent and they hit singles consistently. And this is another example of that. They're going to win this game because they're supposed to win this game.
Fair enough. So that's what I certainly hope, because if we're not 6-2 before the bye, I don't think we make the playoffs, because our back half of the schedule, despite the Browns being bad, does not look great. It's not awesome. It's all division games, the Commanders, the freaking Chiefs, and Eagles. So that's not ideal. But yeah, I'm hoping that's the case. But that'll do it for us this week, guys. I know we had some technical difficulties, so sorry for that. But we will be back next week sometime. We'll have to figure out when exactly that'll be, but probably somewhere in and around this time of day. So we'll be seeing you next time. And thanks, guys.